Hello and welcome to Trucking Office Live. I'm Alan Campbell and with Trucking Office, and we're doing a live check-in where we show how to manage a trucking business, and we show how to use the Trucking Office software to help make managing your business so much easier and so much better and more effective. If you're on the free trial of the software and you're looking for ways to get started, and this would be a good demo opportunity for you to kind of look and see what it's going to look like once you start getting your loads in there and your data in there. If you've never heard of Trucking Office before, then I'd like to invite you to go to truckingoffice.com and get the free trial. If you're an owner operator or a fleet builder or you own trucks, you need to have a software to help you manage the business. Now, there's a lot of different people out there giving advice on how to get better freight and how to use load boards and all the different kinds of things about that. And that's an important part of the business. Finding which the best loads to haul is important. But after you haul the loads comes all the work that we all hate. You know, we have to make the invoices and track the invoices and keep track of the expenses. One of the really used to be really hard to understand your numbers, like your revenues per mile and stuff like that. And I'm going to show you how using the Trucking Office software on a daily basis just makes all that stuff a click away. It's super easy. So let me do a screen share and we'll do our daily check-in. Now what I have is, oops, I clicked the wrong one. Let's share it like this so you can see it a little better. What we have is a trucking company that's ongoing. It's obviously a fake trucking company, and I just put in some fake data every day. And so we've only been doing this for a short time, so there's not a lot of data in there. But if you follow the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, as time goes on, there'll be more and more data in the system, and you'll see how everything populates and builds up. So what we're looking at here is your main dispatch screen. So what I have done is at the top nav bar, I've clicked on trips, and this is what you would be looking at to see. You know, we used to, in the old days, dispatchers used to have a whiteboard on the wall, and they write down, the truck number and the driver number. And then each day, they erase what loads he's doing. And then when he gets that load done, they erase that and they put the next load on there. And so every day you had to make sure you knew where all the trucks were and what everybody was doing. And if there was a blank space there, then obviously we had to figure that out and find a load for that guy to haul. And so this kind of takes the place of that whiteboard. You come here every day, you look and see where your guys are at, and you see who needs what and what's going on, okay? So in our mock-up trucking company, we have 3 drivers. We have John Doe, Bill Smith, and yours truly, Alan Campbell. The first one is highlighted in yellow because that is going to be a future trip. That's something that delivers tomorrow or sometime after that. So we have a load going from Houston, Texas to Youngstown, Ohio. Is scheduled to deliver November 6th. That's tomorrow. Today is November 5th. The ones highlighted in green delivered today. So we went from, so let's start with the bottom one. We have me taking a load from Los Angeles, California to Phoenix, Arizona. It delivered today. So what we would need to do is check in with that driver, make sure the delivery went okay. You work for a small, you've probably already talked to him or whatever, but once you know that load's delivered and it's done, what he would do is send in his bill of ladings. Now, if he's using the Trucking Office ELD, all he would have to do is open up his app and go to his trips, to his trip management. And down at the bottom, before he finishes off the load, he would just add the BOL. And when he does that, the app will let him take a picture of it. And when he takes the picture of that, that BOL will just show up right in our system. Real easy, okay? So when that load's done, what we'll do is we'll flip over here to loads and we'll just make an invoice real quick. And I've got a couple of questions from users that I'm going to address today. So this kind of stuff I kind of buzz through kind of quick, but if somebody has questions about it, then no problem, hit me up and we can look at some things in more detail. But so I'm here on the loads list. I'm going to view this load that went from Los Angeles to Phoenix. We're going to click on the view button. This is your opportunity to proofread everything about the load, make sure this is all going to be on the invoice, make sure your rates are right and all that kind of stuff. And then just click the create invoice button. Once you click on the create invoice button like that, it automatically generates an invoice number. You can put a custom number if you want to, but really no need to. It'll default to today's date. There's no reason to change. If you need to change that for some reason, obviously you can, but the remit to is for like if you have a factoring company or you need the remit to address to be something different than your company address, which is usually like a factoring company, that's your place to put that in right there. Okay. And then down here is just showing the load again that's going to be on this invoice. It's selected here, and then it's showing here in the selected load section. Some customers might have 10 loads in process here. We might invoice 2 or 3. It just depends on how big your company is and how many loads you do for certain customers or whatever. In this case, though, we're just going to invoice this one load. And so all I have to do is click create the invoice. Once you create, that's it. It's done. So your invoice is done. You have 2 different PDF versions. One's a little bit more detailed than the other one. One's just a basic list view, and one's got a lot more details with addresses and some of those kinds of things. Okay, so once that's done, you can do anything that you want to do with a PDF. Obviously, you can print it, you can save it to your computer in a file, you can email it, you can do all that kind of stuff that you would do with a PDF, or you can just send the invoice via email right from the system. You would already have the email address in there for your customer. This would be the invoice. You can add attachments like a rate con or a bill of lading or whatever. You can type a customized message, hey, thanks for the business, or whatever you want to type in there, and then send it off, and then that's done. Okay, so then we go back to the invoice, and we can see, let's see here, today is November 5th. Well, we can see that we sent that right off to ABC Brokerage, and that is all done. All back to loads, we'll see that load that we just did from Los Angeles to Phoenix. We'll see that that status now changed to invoiced. Okay, it was dispatched, and then it was delivered, and now it's invoiced. All right, so we're looking at loads now. So the next load was for Bill Smith. Bill Smith runs from Akron to Chicago, and we have Bill Smith on a dedicated lane going back and forth from Chicago to Akron, back and forth. Okay, so today he delivered this one in Chicago, and that one's all done. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll go to View. Okay, this load has been dispatched on the trip. It's been in transit. Now it's delivered. And we're going to generate the invoice. I'm looking across the top here, across our statuses, if you guys can see that. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to buzz through it. We're going to click the invoice. All the same stuff I said about the last one. Once you get used to using this system, all this, you can buzz through this stuff pretty quick. This is a different load that we have in there. We're not invoicing that one right now. Just going to create the invoice for that one load, just like that. Got the PDFs. You can send via email, whatever you want to do. It's just that easy. Once you put the data in there, everything else you need to do is just a couple clicks, and it's real easy. Let's see. So then that was changed to invoiced right there. You can see the status changed to invoice. You can go to the invoice list. You'll see it right here. This one is for the best customer. Okay, it's right there. 1,200. It's pending. We can enter some payments in for some of these. We're not going to mess with any of that right now. We're going to go back to our trips list, and we're going to say, okay, so this driver, John Doe, is delivered in Youngstown tomorrow. What else do we need to do? Well, let's see. Bill Smith is on a dedicated lane. He went from Akron to Chicago. Today is Thursday the 5th. He's delivered in Chicago, so he needs a load back from there. And since he's on a dedicated lane, that makes it real easy because we do the same loads all the time, right? Now, when we're here on loads, I don't know if everybody knows this, but one of the questions that came in was actually related to expenses, but it's really true on all of these lists. Anything that you see on these list views that's a hyperlink means that you can sort by that. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, I want to see everything Bill Smith's doing. I just click on Bill Smith's name, and it'll sort, and it'll just show me all his loads, just his, okay, and it'll give me a new list. Or if I want to see all the loads we're doing for this customer, just the best customer, what all do we do for the best customer? And boom, we can have, now we have a list of just those. Excuse me. Or maybe we want to see everything that we've done with truck 2. We can click on the truck number, and then it'll give me a new list of everything. Maybe 2 different guys have driven truck 2. So now we have a new list of just what truck 2 is doing. Or we can go back, and this is true on the loads list, the invoice list, the expense list. Like, you can do the same thing on invoices, right? You can go over here to invoice, and you can say, well, hey, just show me the stuff for this one customer. Okay. And then this one customer shows the invoices for that customer, shows all of them. And then over here shows a total balance due that's adjusted for that customer. And then if you want to go back to the original list, you can just click on the invoice list at the top nav bar. It'll take you right back. See, our total amount due is here at $19,000. 19,700. But then when you click on a customer, this time I'll click on ABC Broker. There's only one load at 2,500. So it adjusts and it'll show you just what that customer is doing. You can do the same thing on expenses. If you just see, I have insurance in here, fuel, tolls, whatever. So if you just want to click at fuel and just look at fuel stuff, you can, boom, there's just the fuel stuff. If you want to look at, well, just show me the expenses for this one truck, you can click on this. Because one of the things that came in was, hey, with all this stuff jumbled around and mixed around, it's hard to kind of follow. You get this random list of a bunch of stuff. Excuse me. So that's why I'm showing this. That I understand that, and then that's why this is the best thing to do, is just to sort it this way. So right now we're looking at the sorted list for truck one, but if I just wanted to look at insurance expenses, for example, then I could just see a list of those. So whatever it is you're trying to sort or look at or follow, there's a lot of different ways to do it. But anyways, that's a sidetrack. Let's get back to Bill Smith. We were going to dispatch Bill Smith, so we sorted by that. And then we were talking about his dedicated lane from Akron to Chicago. Now he's going to go Chicago to Akron. Now this is the load he did a couple of days ago, right? But it's the same load because it's a dedicated run. So then what we're going to do is clone that, which all that means is it just makes a copy. And it just copies all the information from that load and pre-fills out a new load form from the load planner. So same customer, same load, different date. This time we're going to pick it up today on the 5th. Okay, in Chicago. Maybe we'll change the bill of lading number because I don't know. I'm just making up numbers for that kind of stuff. Fill in your details, whatever you want. Driver instructions. Maybe he has an appointment to pick up or whatever. Whatever you put in for this will show up in the mobile app when he's using the ELD mobile app. Okay, show up automatically. You don't have to send it to him or copy and paste it or text it or email. It just shows up. Okay. Now that was on the 5th. So then. Same consignee, dedicated load, going to Akron, different date. Instead of delivering today, he's going to deliver tomorrow on Friday of the 6th. Okay? And the rates are all the same because it's all a dedicated thing. But if you needed to change the rate, this is the section to do that. Change the fee. But in this case, it's a dedicated load, so we're just going to save it. Pretty simple. Okay? All that does when you save that is it creates a planned load because right now it's just in the planning stage. All right, all it's done is you've entered information and it saved it. That's it. Okay. Now, when you add the trip, you're taking that load information, assigning it to a trip, you're assigning it to the driver and the truck. So we're going to assign it to Bill Smith. Okay, right here. And then it already knows Bill Smith usually drives truck number 2. So it already pulls that up. It already knows the last trip that was done for Bill ended up in Chicago on today the 5th. So it already knows all that stuff. It already picked up, the load that's here on the load form, and we check the box, so it pre-checks it. And so we're not going to do anything with expenses right now. We're just going to save the trip, and we're going to have it dispatched. It's that easy. Okay. So what did I do just there? I cloned a load. It pre-filled the load information right into the form, and then I saved it. And then I dispatched it on a trip and assigned it to a driver. And basically it was a few clicks through there, changed a couple of dates, and was done. Then every time we do that and we dispatch it on a trip, we dispatch it to the driver in the truck, it can create a trip. Then all that information for the load, just as far as like the address for pickup, address for delivery, those driver information, appointment times and stuff, all that stuff gets sent right to the driver's ELD app automatically. So it already sent. I don't have to click anything extra or do anything extra. Like it already shows up there. So that's the first thing. The other thing it does is it updates the driver details. So it shows driver's pay. Now later when we do driver settlements, then we'll have all this information from this load already put in there. I won't have to create a driver settlement. It's going to be easy. Just going to have to run the dates and there's the loads. So, and we already have the driver pay all set up and everything. So if you're not sure how to set that kind of stuff up, we do have some setup videos that are already pre-made. So when you're in the free trial of the software, if you go to the user's guide, there's already instruction on that stuff. If you're working on that kind of thing and you have questions, then by all means, drop them in the comments down below and I will follow up with any question that someone has. Okay. The next section is profit and loss. We have a profit and loss for this particular trip. And then that updates the profit and loss information for the overall company profit and loss. We'll take a look at that in a few minutes. Load details. These are the details that are going to be used to invoice the load later on. Mileage by state. We're pulling miles on this trip from PC Miler set to truck routing on practical miles. So this is not shortest distance point to point. This is truck routing, truck miles, IFTA approved truck routing and truck miles. Okay, we have thousands of users using this system to generate their IFTA miles. And if the people are going to come in and audit, they're going to use PC Miler to run the miles to see if you're being accurate. So this is where we're at. It runs this on every load, and then we can use those stats to generate all your reports, and we use those stats for your IFTA miles. Down at the bottom is the final route, the steps of the route that the system is tracking. Okay, so this is just a view page. It doesn't do anything. It's just for your information. Every trip and every load has all this information. So if we go back to our trips now, we'll see a new one highlighted in yellow. Let's see here for Bill Smith right here at the top. And he's doing that load that we just put in from Chicago to Akron. So now we're all set on Bill Smith. And then John Doe's not empty. He's already delivering tomorrow. So I guess by the end of the day, your goal would be to have all your drivers have something in yellow that they would be delivering tomorrow or the next day. So the only driver I don't have up there is myself here, Campbell, and I have myself down delivering in Phoenix, Arizona today. And so that's not on a dedicated run, so we have to find something out of Phoenix to do. So maybe you find that on a load board or whatever, and you find a load, you book it. Now after you book it, the first thing you do is come to your load planner and put in a new load into the system, okay? So we will go back to the load planner, and we'll add a planned load, and this time we don't have one pre-filled. We have to come up with a customer. So for a customer, we do a lot of stuff with ABC Brokerage, okay, and they're out of Los Angeles, but they get freight all over, so we'll just put in ABC Brokerage. That's the customer. Then the shipper is not in Los Angeles. The shipper's in Phoenix, so we have to put in a shipper, and so we'll add in A, B, C, D. How about that? We'll make it really fancy. And we'll put that in Phoenix. Okay, we'll do Phoenix. And then that's a pull down. So we're in Phoenix, Arizona. And then you can put in all this information, but you don't have to. You can just be quick. You can put in the name, city, and the state. Or, you can fill in your details. Some people just want to be quick and roll through it, just what you need for invoicing. Other people, later on, you're going to want to make an invoice. It depends on how much. If you want to do the detail thing and have all the details in there, that's fine. If you want to do the simple line item thing, then that's all you have to do. Put the name in, city and state. Okay. So then when are we going to pick? Pretty straightforward here. Let's see. We're going to pick that up today. So we'll just go like that. We'll click on the date. This is called a date picker. When you pick on this date picker, it opens up this nice calendar. You just got to pick today's date. That's all. Let's see if we have instructions, if we have appointment time, appointments first come, first serve, bill lading number. I can just click on some stuff, wait, I don't know. We're just making up some generic information here to kind of fill in. Then where should we go? When we leave Phoenix, where is a likely place to go? Maybe we're going from Phoenix and then we bounce over to like Dallas. Let's say Dallas. And then we don't have any customers for Dallas yet either. So we'll do like XYZ factory maybe. I don't know. Just making up something generic. And then we'll say Dallas, Texas. All I did is hit T twice. You can also do the drop down, but I'm just running through my keyboard, but you can use the drop down, pick Texas. And once again, when you're just doing the basics like I am, there's these ones with the asterisks, the name and the city and state's all that's actually required. You can hit the save. It fills that in right here. That's all you need. Okay. So then the delivery date, we will put down, I don't need that autofill there. Now, from Phoenix over to Dallas, I don't know. That's not really an overnight trip, I don't think. I don't remember how many miles that is off the top of my head. I'm going to say we got till Monday to get there. So if driver gets here early, fine, but we're gonna give that till Monday. Okay. And then a rate, I don't know what's a good rate from Phoenix over to Dallas these days. Let's say $2,000 just to make up something generic. We'll say at the flat fee. Now you can bill by the mile or hundredweight or by the ton or whatever. The fuel surcharge we'll say is 15, and then I'm going to make that a percent. So there's a lot of different options for billing things in different ways or whatever, but we're just going to go like that for this one. We'll say $2,000 plus a 15% fuel surcharge. Most of the times when you're hauling loads off the broker board or whatever, they have everything lumped into one flat fee. You can put it in that way. Everything's a little bit different. So I'm just showing some variation here. Okay. So we'll save that one. And again, we're in the planned load stage. So it says it was successfully created. I can attach the rate con right now if I want to. I probably got it in my hand since I just put that information in. What I can do is set it on the printer, scan it in, and attach the file, and then it'll be all saved in here for later on when we send the invoice. It'll be right there. Won't have to look for it. It'll be ready to go. All that did is save the information. So the next step for us is to add a trip. So we got the stuff in there. Now we're going to add the trip. Now when we add the trip, this is real easy. Once you get that information entered, making the trip is real easy. We're just going to assign it to me just like that. It already knows the last truck I drove is this. It knows the last place I delivered was Phoenix. It knows the load because I was on the load screen. And that's all you have to do is save. Now, before I save that, there was one question that came up. And the question that came up was about team drivers. And so the question is, how do I add a team driver? So the first thing is, what I did here is added a driver. See how this form's open and I can add a driver real easy? Well, now if I want to add a team driver, there's a button here for that. And I'll just add the team driver like this. Then what that does is gives me an opportunity to put a second driver on this load if we're teaming. Okay. And then if we're team driving, I could pick one of these another driver and add them on here. Now this case, I'm not going to do that, but that's how it works. Okay. Then the next question came up, well, how do I pay each driver? And then we would set that up in the driver pay section. So you would say, if you pay the drivers by the mile and you pay them whatever, 30 cents a mile or something, then you want to pay each driver 30 cents a mile for half of the miles. What we do is we pay each driver for all the miles and you just pay them half as much. So you pay them 15 cents a driver for each one and set it up that way. And then they both get paid for all the miles. And then the drivers just decide who's driving and they work that stuff out. And then they're getting paid the same. They're both running the freight. They're both running the truck. They get paid the same amount. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do that. You can set them up with percentage pay. You can set them up with manual pay. Okay. And then if you set them up with manual pay, then every time you do a load and you set that driver there, there's an extra space for manual pay. And you just type in the amount you want to pay the driver on this load. Maybe you got the load from the broker. You're running the numbers on a calculator. You got it right top of mind when you're creating this trip. You can just type it in each time. You can do that. So there's a lot of different ways to variate, a lot of variety of ways to set that up for driver pay. So if there's still more questions about that, maybe we can go over that in more detail on a future video. But for today, we're just setting up this load for me, and then we're going to save it. Got myself down as the driver. That's why I'm saying me. I'm not really out there running a truck, though. I'm here in my office. I'm here at my home office in Ohio. But same thing here. Now the load is created, so we're at the trip stage now. We've put it in as a planned load. We dispatched it on a trip. We assigned it to the driver in the truck, and all those same things. As soon as I did that, all the load information went right over to the mobile app, showed up on the driver's ELD. Not all the details, but the load information that he needs, the driver information, address and phone numbers where he's picking up and delivering. The pickup information, if there was a PO number or pickup number, something like that, we put that stuff in there so he's got it when he goes to load. All of that stuff. Then the driver then can update when he's loaded, when he's delivered. He can upload his BOL, and all that stuff just plays right into this whole workflow right here. Okay, profit and loss section, we're looking at that. We're looking at the driver pay section. Everything gets updated, right? This is the invoice information. As soon as we assign it to a trip, it runs the miles. Again, we're pulling that from PC mile or truck miles, practical truck miles. And then these are the routing points, Phoenix to Dallas. Okay. So that's all set. Let's go back to trips. And then there we go. We got all three drivers in the yellow. They're all on a load and they're all running. Okay. So then we'll check in tomorrow and we'll see what these guys need to do next. And we'll update some invoices. We'll update, we'll get these guys going for the weekend and we'll be good to go. That's all it takes. To run a better trucking company, that's what it takes. Just update your system every day. Every time you book a load, as soon as you book the load, get the Raycon, put the load in the system. Use this trips board like your old-fashioned whiteboard. Now it's on your computer screen. Okay, keep track of where the guys are going. Then in the post trip, like after it's over, you're going to be doing invoicing and expensing and things like that. So you see how easy it is to make expenses. You see how easy it is to update things. That's really what it's all about. And then I guess real quick, the other thing we should look at is the reports. The coolest one is probably the company overview report. Okay. And then like I said, I haven't been running this for very long, so this is kind of a new account. The longer we run this, the more stats we'll have in here in our cool looking charts and stuff. Okay. But really what we're looking at is the numbers. So we have revenue, we have expenses, and we have profit. Basic P&L stuff everybody knows about. But then we're able to break all those stats down and do revenue per load, revenue per mile, revenue per loaded mile, expenses per mile, profit per mile. A lot of people talk about revenue per mile, driving that revenue per mile up. And of course, that's important. But, that's why I always say too, if you go like from Canton, Ohio to Cleveland, Ohio, is like 50-mile trip, so if you're doing a load and you're getting paid $500, it's like $10 a mile. So then if you start to say, well, I'm not doing any loads for under $10 a mile because I made $10 a mile yesterday, it's kind of not how it works because it's only $500. Like if you sit and that's the only load you do for the month, your revenue per mile is going to be through the roof, but your cash is going to be super low. Your revenue per load is only going to be $500. So you need to strike a balance, and what that balance is for you might be different than what the balancing act is for the next person. One guy might be running long haul stuff and be bringing in big revenues, but the revenue per mile might be lower. The next guy might be running a lot less miles, but his revenue per mile might be much higher. So, and obviously it's different, based on what trailer type you're pulling and all that kind of stuff too. So there's no universal answer to what these numbers ought to be, but I think if you've been running trucks for a while, you understand those numbers change over time, right? It can be different in the winter than they can in the summer. If you're running reefer, they can be different in produce season than they are in off seasons, and et cetera, et cetera. So understanding those numbers, understanding how they change, and keeping an eye on things is really important. So you want to be able to see how those numbers change month over month, but then you also can look year over year too. You can run this report for any date range you want. You could run it for the last 3 years if you want. So once you start putting your stuff in here, that those types of records will build up over time. You'll be able to come back to trips and be able to look up lane history. I was showing how you can click and sort from different areas. You can also click and sort on cities, right? Like, what do we usually do when we're in Akron, Ohio? Well, we have these kind of loads. What do we do when we're in Chicago? We do these kind of loads, so you can look up lane history and stuff like that too. All right. So just a few key points. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up then, but I just wanted to tell you guys, if you're not using the software yet, to start using it. If you're not familiar with TruckingOffice, go to our website at TruckingOffice.com. The free trial is a true free trial. We don't know surprise credit card forms or anything like that. Fill out a basic email. We will email you training guides. I'll email you some bonus videos that I've made about the 4 pillars of trucking management and give my views on some of that kind of stuff. Also, some of the backstory on how the software got created, some of the stories from my trucking company. If you're already on the free trial, you're learning how to use it, I hope this video helps you get started. You're also getting a lot of emails with some other videos, right? And some training videos and stuff like that in there. So make use of that stuff. And when you're ready to subscribe, we'll have a special offer for you, okay? We're always running a special offer. So if somebody from the office calls, maybe I got a special offer for you, or watch your email. You'll probably get an email with something in it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today and invite you to keep using the software. And please, like the video. Let me know somebody's getting some value out of it. Subscribe to the channel and post your questions in the comments. Even if you didn't catch it live and you're seeing this later, throw something in the comments. I monitor that stuff, and I will answer it in the comments, and I'll cover it in one of the videos. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.